Hey everyone, and welcome back to Pest Control Legends. I'm your host, Dan Leibrandt, and today I'm with Ryan Marshall. Ryan is the founder and CEO of Vinx Pest Control, a multi-state operation headquartered in Utah with offices across South Carolina, North Carolina, and Virginia, servicing tens of thousands of homes. He got his start in door-to-door sales at a security company and has now spent the last 11 years building Vinx into one of the top players in the industry. Today, we're talking about how he went from one shop to multiple locations in 3 states, transitioning from a sales guy to an owner, and how he plans to scale in the future. Now, without further ado, Ryan, welcome to the show.
Okay, thanks. Appreciate it, Danny.
Of course, man. So, walk me back to the beginning of your journey, Ryan. How did you initially get into this whole pest control thing?
Yeah, I mean, I got into door-to-door sales back while I was going to college and was selling alarm systems for a little bit and had some buddies that convinced me to go over and sell pest control and went out, started selling pest control. I liked it, but the thing that I didn't love was working for other companies and as a sales guy, I mean, you promise certain things and you hope that the company delivers on them. And unfortunately, the company I worked with didn't really deliver on a lot of those promises, didn't do a great job. And so chatted with my wife and decided it was time to go, be able to fulfill on the service side as well. So we started up.
Awesome. So that
Yeah.
was 11 years ago, right?
Yeah, 2015.
Okay, cool. And did I see that you had a marketing company too?
We have shift marketing, and that's just kind of our door-to-door side of the business. And so it's just our own door-to-door sales reps that go out and work with us. So it's not marketing per se, and that we're doing marketing for other people, but we just kind of created that barrier, I guess, or that separation from the pest control company.
Okay, cool. So talk to me about the first few years of Vinx. What was that like?
Yeah, dude, it was fun and wild. I started it actually in Utah, and Costco had just given me a brand new credit card with $10,000 limit, and I already had a white truck, and I ordered some stickers online. I wouldn't pass the state test in Utah, which was super simple back in the day, and got started from there. And so it was interesting because I'm sure a lot of guys who've done sales can relate to this. I mean, you initially think like, oh, sales is the tough part, right? Like I can get the customers. It's got to be easy to service them. And I remember, I learned very quickly. I knew nothing about the service side, so I'd go promise somebody we could take care of their ants, and then go sit in my truck and YouTube how to take care of ants and see if I could figure it out. So that's kind of how it started out. Ran some small teams in Utah and just recruited some local guys, and really it's kind of the Wild West, I think, for as far as starting a business. And there's so much that you don't know that you don't know, right? And all of a sudden you get in and you have to deal with payroll and payroll taxes and QuickBooks and software and collections and all this kind of stuff that as a sales guy my eyes weren't really open to yet, but they got open pretty quickly.
Okay. So you were really solid in sales, but not so much on the service side. So now, fast forward to now, how has your service evolved and how has it changed?
Yeah, I mean, I think a big part of that was, we really initially we kind of tried to handle it on our own, or we'd get somebody that had a little bit of experience. Now we're to the point where, when we go hire service managers in a location, like we're hiring really sharp people that have been in the industry for a while. And we have people here at the company that know way more about the specifics of pest control and, the service side and all that kind of stuff. So we've come a long way. We've definitely come a long way on that.
Interesting. Yeah, talk to me more about what you're looking for in service managers.
So a service manager with us is really like we're pushing to have service managers that drive really high performance. And that's probably one of the biggest changes, I think, in hiring that we made from early on. And this is going to be a long answer to an easy question, Danny, but
No, please.
like our first service manager, I remember down in like here in Utah, we really didn't have like a service manager, right? We just had a few technicians. We did open a branch in Dallas, and I remember when we opened that, and we sold that branch a year ago, so we're not down in Dallas anymore. But the first summer we opened that branch, we found a service manager, and he was making $16 an hour. And man, you get what you pay for, right? We were tight on cash, trying to bootstrap everything, and you don't think you have the cash for it, but the service manager makes a huge difference, and it just service of quality, turnover in technicians creates a lot of attrition, right? It's really hard to keep things consistent for customers. And so fast forward to now, we're looking for service managers that, number one, know that it's not an office job, right? We really push the idea with our service managers that you can have up to an hour of office time per day. But outside of that, we want you in the field. We want you in the field teaching the technicians how to get upgrades, bring up to the customers that they should get termite protection, or recommend, rodent exclusion or any of the other packages we have. So service managers are very active. They're out in the field. They're working alongside the guys. They're coaching them up on how to interact with customers, making sure that, they're being safe drivers, getting good reviews, all that kind of stuff. So if I had to simplify it, I mean, we're really looking for somebody who's really hungry, and I'd say hungry to work alongside the team, drive performance, and a service manager that's they've got a really good drive to create a high performance team with really good customer service. And I know the service side is really important, but sometimes that almost outweighs the service side is doing a really good job taking care of customers and interacting with them. So somebody that can kind of lead from the front on that.
Okay, got it. And you said you want them to be super experienced as well?
I think somebody is experienced probably in the industry, so they know, what they're doing, but leadership is a really, really big, factor to that, right? Like, just because somebody's been in the industry for 20 years, if they haven't had the opportunity to lead people and to figure out how to coach them up and to hold them accountable, it's going to fall apart really quickly. So, and we've made some of those mistakes along the years where we've hired guys that had a lot of experience, but maybe didn't have the type of service manager experience we're looking for. And I would say this, I mean, you have the traditional managers that are, some of them, it looks so different at different companies. Some of them, a service manager at their company is very much, hey, you're in the office half the time, and the other half the time you're checking on quality of service and really just kind of making sure people stay in line, as opposed to, now that I'm thinking this, man, we ought to change it to service leader, right? Somebody that's out there leading from the front and educating guys. And hey, I noticed you interacted with the customer this way. Let's kind of polish that up a little bit. So that's really the goal, I think. I mean, I think one big thing we're pushing for, and this kind of ties in with the door-to-door side, and I know I'm going off a little bit on a tangent here, but when it comes to door-to-door companies are kind of notorious for attrition. Right? You go out, we're really good at convincing people to switch over from another company or give us a shot, and a lot of times lack on the service side, and so there's a lot of fall off. But if we can really elevate that service side and make customers feel like we're taking really good care of them, we've got good communication and good processes, and that's really where I think we bridge a lot of the gaps on a lot of the door-to-door that may not be as refined on the service side, and we actually get to keep a lot more of what we bring on.
So you mentioned the importance of leaders. I mean, I'd kind of an interesting question here. Do you think people are just born natural leaders, or can you also train them up to be a leader?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think a little bit of both, right? Some people kind of have that drive, but for some people that drive is, you need to kind of harness it a little bit, and they need some guidance on that, whether that's, learning how to work with people. I think if, a big thing with a leader is that they're out there, they're willing to get their hands dirty. They're willing to do what they're asking other people to do. so I think that work ethic and leading from the front, I think that's something that they're kind of born with, right? They want to do that. They recognize that. But then the other side of leadership is, I think, really helping connect with your people and what their motivation is, what their why is, right? And that's a big thing. I probably have more experience with that on the door-to-door side, because you got these kids that leave home to go get door slammed in their faces, and cops called on them, and told no a bunch. And one of the things I've learned over the years as a leader is that they're not out there for me, right? They're not out there for my motivations. I've got to figure out what makes that person tick. And I think service managers, are similar, right? Like we can push, a big thing we started pushing was upgrades and getting, technicians to recommend Centricon. That was a big like rebrand amongst the culture of our technicians. And it was tough, right? Like it was really tough, because you have guys that are like, dude, I don't want to do this. I don't want to, I don't want to talk to people. And some of those guys, we had to go sit down and have conversations with them and almost help them see how this is going to benefit them, right? These are guys that are trying to save up money to buy houses. And it's like, hey, dude, what if I can show you a way to save up, an extra $400 or $500 a month? And all of a sudden, if we can find something that motivates them, it becomes a different game. It's not us pushing them, but it's us kind of leading them into it. And so I think that's super important from a leadership standpoint. I think that's something that we really push to find in service managers, but also to continue to train them up in that. Because I think that they're really the people that are out there interacting with the technicians every single day and helping to kind of elevate the tribe, I'd say.
Definitely. Yeah, I interviewed Preston Peterson a few days ago, who owns Alta Pest Control, massive company. And we were talking about the same thing. And for people that might not be clear, what Ryan's talking about is, maybe you can clarify that.
Yeah.
You're talking about paying your technicians more for them to sell more services. So they upsell and they get a commission on that.
Yeah. We're really careful not to say the sell word or the upsell word, because a lot of technicians get panic attacks. So we call it upgrades. But yeah, I mean, that's a big thing we did, and really helping the technicians reframe it as the customers are already expecting you to notice that kind of stuff and let them know, right? Like it might be a cheesy example, but one of the examples we gave is, man, if you take your car to Jiffy Lube to get an oil change, like without fail, right? They come in and they're like, here's your air filter, it's dirty, and they're showing you all this other stuff. Well, imagine you go get an oil change at Jiffy Lube and you have a flat tire and the guy doesn't tell you anything, right? And you leave there and you're like, dude, I have a flat tire. And you go back to Jiffy Lube and you're like, hey, dude, I have a flat tire. Did you not notice that? And he's like, well, I noticed it, but you didn't hire us for that. You hired us to change the oil, right? And so we kind of helped our technicians see that, hey, this is our expertise. Whether they're hiring us to look for termites and recommend termites, it doesn't matter. They're hiring us for pest control, and we're the experts, and we just got to keep our eyes open and make sure that, hey, Mrs. Jones, I noticed you don't have any termite coverage. You got a wood pile right next to your house. Most of our customers have termite coverage. Do you mind me asking what you're doing, right? Just training them and getting them to see it a little bit differently. And I think when it comes to leadership, that's a big challenge and a big push as leaders that we need to make, and we need to get our leaders to make, is, once again, how can we get people to be motivated for their own reasons, right? Not for mine, because I want to get my override and I want to get my bonus and I want to get it's and I think it's Brian Tracy. I think it was him that said this, or Zig Ziglar, but it said, if you can just help enough people, and this is in sales, but if you can just help enough people get what they want, then you can get what you want. And I think that applies a lot to leadership.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Zig did say that. I interviewed one of his top mentees, Howard Partridge, and yeah, the analogy I like there is, same way as Jiffy Lube. Going to the doctor. Most people go to the doctor for a checkup maybe every 6 to 12 months, kind of like pest control. Just come in, make sure everything's okay. But I mean, imagine if you had cancer and the doctor didn't tell you that you had cancer. I mean, wouldn't you be devastated that now you have stage 4 cancer and they didn't tell you? And same way, maybe it's termites in your house, and now they've done irreplaceable damage. Like
Yep.
they have a right to know the problems that they have, and you have the expertise to
Absolutely.
diagnose.
Yep.
So around that, what are your top things to upsell or upgrade customers on? Hey guys, Dan Leibrandt here. Real quick, if you're a pest control owner looking to grow, I have two amazing resources for you. Number one is our free Pest Control Millionaires Facebook group. We have over 3,000 owners just like you in our community and would love for you to be a part of it. Just go search Pest Control Millionaires on Facebook and request to join the group now. Number two is our book, Zip Code Kings. This was authored by me, Jonas Olson, and Jake Sheldon to be the ultimate guide to pest control marketing. We discuss everything from branding and traditional marketing to local SEO and Facebook ads. Go to Amazon and search Zip Code Kings to get your copy today. Now, that being said, let's get back to the show.
Yeah. Oh man. I think first and foremost, you do need to help them reframe that, right? And I've already talked a little bit about that. And helping them, a lot of the technicians just break the mindset. A lot of technicians like doing the technician work, and they don't, I mean, they think of like sales as kind of like, dude, I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to give people something and try to convince them of something. And so they kind of psych themselves out and talk themselves down from that. So I think that's a big one, is just breaking that mindset and seeing it as something is like, oh, this kind of does fall within the expectation, right? The example you gave about the doctor. And I think the next one is you need to make it really easy for them. You need to give them the tools that they feel like they're qualified to go out and talk about that. And so instead of making it overly complicated, we need to just dumb it down and make it really simple. Not because they're not smart enough to handle it, but it's just the more simple that something is, the more they can grasp the idea of it. And so for a long time, the push was, hey, listen, we don't care if you get any upgrades, but you have to, everybody who's home, you have to talk to them. And so in meetings, we're role playing. We're not role playing this big sales pitch. We're just role playing, saying, hey, Mrs. Jones, just got done doing your service. By the way, I noticed you don't have any termite coverage. Most of our customers do. Do you mind me asking what you're doing? Right? Like it's that exact little simple phrase. And if we can get them doing that enough, then they're going to get comfortable with it. And then from there, they'll have customers will be like, oh, well, I don't have it. How much is it? And they don't know where to go from there, right? So then we got to bridge the next gap and show them how to explain pricing a little bit. Or say, hey, listen, if you ever get stuck, call your service manager, right? Your service manager is a little bit more, can push on that. And so I think it's enabling them, giving them some of those tools to be able to do that. But then, Danny, a really big part of it is where we really started to turn the corner on that is when we had guys going out getting, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 a month on a team. All of a sudden it's the Roger Bannister effect, right? Roger Bannister is the famous guy that broke the 4-minute mile. I love that story. That's actually one of our core values is be the Bannister. Because I think that applies in our lives or business, work, relationships, any area. But once we have people on the team that are going out and doing it, they're like, dude, Joe got 10 last month. Like Joe's a bum. Like if Joe can do it, I can do it. and so that kind of becomes the pack mentality, right? If nobody's doing it, nobody's going to want to do it. And then the I don't know how many numbers I'm on, of third, fourth part of that or whatever, I think is accountability and just making sure that we're talking about it. We're talking about in the meetings, we're shouting people out. Somebody goes and gets some upgrades, and hey, dude, you got 3 last week. Like, dude, give us your pitch. Tell us about it. Hey, by the way, this guy just made an extra, $350 or whatever it was, right? So kind of making a big deal about it. And it's really just focusing on it, I think, over time that helps to kind of correct that.
That's awesome. Love that. And I love that story of the 4-minute mile too. It's so infamous, for people that don't know. What was his name? Robert Bannister?
Roger Bannister. Yep.
Roger Bannister. He broke the, no one could break the 4-minute mile. And as soon as he did, then all these other people followed after. And it shows that like a lot of success is kind of just a mindset or a mental barrier thing. And you mentioned that was one of your core values. What are your other core values?
Oh, dude, you're gonna put me on the spot like that. Um, we have row together, win together. I'm a big fan of Boys in the Boat,
Mm.
and we talk a lot about how here at, a lot of people say at their company like we're a family. Um, I did a training with our team, and I talked about, man, what does it mean when I say we're a family? Everybody got all excited, and the next slide had it crossed out, and I'm like, that's the F word, guys. We don't use family here. We're a team,
Mm.
and we've got a big saying on the wall that says tryouts are every day. So, or sorry, tryouts are today. So, man, the other core values, I should know these. I think integrity's on there. Dude, I've got a poster with them right outside my office. And now that you ask me and put me on the spot, um, dude, Danny, I don't remember them. This is embarrassing.
You're all good.
I,
I've
I got I
asked
got to
people
get
that
these things.
before, and the same things happen. So no worries, no worries. Um, I
Yeah,
wanted to pivot here. I wanted to ask you about door to door, since that's kind of how you got
yeah,
your start. So are you guys still doing door to door?
yeah, we are. Yep.
Okay, so um, how big is that in terms of your growth? You guys are growing fast, big company. Is that a big part of where you're getting leads and sales?
Yeah, it is. It is, and we're making a big effort to kind of diversify that. Um, I feel like door to door is one of the best ways to open up a new market, just from a route density standpoint.
Hmm.
I mean, you start pumping SEO and pay per click stuff. Like, dude, you might get a call from on one side of the city and then 20 miles away on the other side of the city, and it's kind of hard to do that super fast. And so, yes, we are still doing door to door, but we do hope within the next year or so to transition to where our door to door really goes and opens up markets for us. And then we're trying to make a big push to learn how to do more of what you do, is growing these brands organically and figuring out the marketing side of things. So
Definitely. Yeah, no, a lot of the top owners that I've talked to specifically mention that strategy as well. When you're opening in new markets, that's the main use case for door to door. So,
mhm.
what has worked for you guys in door to door? Like, what are your keys to success there?
Oh man, it's dude, door to door is just a numbers game and a mindset game, right? Like, it's
Mm.
if anybody does door to door, I mean it's kind of similar to getting technicians to get upgrades, right? Like, we need to change the mindset and kind of get the tribe to buy into, hey, we're knocking late hours, we're doing role plays, we're practicing. When the team is excited and one guy's selling really well, it's easier for the other guys to sell well, and success really breeds success on a good door to door team. Um, so I mean, I think it's dude, door to door is fun. Like, I really do love that side of it. Like, I actually missed going out for full summers. I say that, and if I was out there for a few weeks, I'd probably remember how hot it is and how exhausting it is. But it's just a rush, right? And to be able to go out and go to war with everybody and go rip some pest control deals is just kind of a fun thing. So I think leadership is a huge one there. Training, getting everybody really prepared. Sales is just, the more prepared you are. Like, you say dang near the same thing on every door, right? People have the same 4 objections, and as long as
Hmm.
you have your responses like memorized to the point where they're just reactions, um, then you can get really good at it. And so I would say that leadership and just making sure you have guys that are really prepared, um, and finding ways to keep them motivated.
Mm. And you mentioned that obviously there's a good amount of attrition that comes with door to door. You mentioned a little bit of how to prevent that attrition and people churning out. Let's go deeper on that. How do you prevent people churning out, especially on something that's higher attrition like door to door?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, the biggest predictor, I would say, from like on a nutrition standpoint, I'd say probably 2 things. One is expectations, right? If somebody's expectations are, hey, you're never going to see another bug again, man, we're going to fail as a company. We're not going to live
Mm.
up to that. And so if we can kind of rein in what the door to door reps say, and one of the best things we found, we use Approve, And I don't know if you've heard of them or know what they are, but they do these AI welcome calls. So as soon as a customer gets a sales rep signs up a customer, they have an app on their iPad that they hand over, and it just AI kind of welcomes to them, says, "Hey, Dan, I'd like to welcome you as a customer to Vinx Pest Control." And it just kind of goes through the details of the contract, right? It's 12-month agreement. You're paying this much every month. This is what is included. This is what's not included. If you cancel, this is, how the cancellation fee works. And by doing those, I think the sales reps know that that's going to happen at the end of the sale. And so it makes them be a lot more careful about what they're saying. So I'd say that's one. Another one that we found a long time ago, we did kind of saying it's a study is probably too official of a term, but we found out that our customers that paid, I think it was under like $69 on their initial service, or if they paid like over 99 or something like that. We did 2 categories, and the customers that paid more were way more likely to be good customers. It was like they were like 3 times more likely to be a good customer at the end of the year. So we actually started doing bonuses for our guys. So basically we'll take a floor and say, hey, anything you charge over, I think it's over $75 on the initial service, they actually get to keep all of that. So if they charge $150, I mean, they get that extra 75 as a bonus. And the upside for us is that we get better customers, right? They've got a little bit more skin in the game. And it's just like if you go to buy a truck and you got no money down, and then 6 months later you can't make your payment, you're like, we'll take the truck. But if you put 20 grand down in 6 months, you're going to find a way. You're going to beg, borrow, or steal to make that payment, to keep the truck, to not lose that equity. And so I think that's a big thing that we've done is pushing guys to get a little bit higher pricing on the initial. And then the next thing I would say is, and this kind of goes along with expectations, but just making sure that our technicians really deliver on that. They're making sure to read the notes. They're making sure to communicate really well with the customer. Email sequences that are going out. We just, that's a big thing that we're building out now and getting more detailed with, is just email sequences of, hey, are you seeing bugs? Call us. We do free reservices, reminding customers about that kind of stuff. But those are some of the things that we've done to kind of keep sales reps honest and give us our best shot at taking good care of people.
Awesome. I think I actually have heard of Approve. Is that with a U? APRUV?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so you use them. What other software do you use?
Well, we use that. Oh, man, I'm trying to think. We use a software called Pronto. It's pretty much like Slack, but for pest control companies. And that's been really good just to keep everybody kind of on the same page, and service team, sales guys, office staff, managers. We have all these different channels. We use field routes. We've liked that. Maybe a little bit more on the approved side, some other stuff. So we do the welcome calls, but they also do, this has been huge for us, is they do KPIs for our technicians, and we actually do bonuses off of those KPIs for our technicians. So they have four things that it tracks on there. It tracks their upgrades every month, which, we push for them to get 5 a month. And it tracks their reservice rate, and they get a bonus if their reservice rate falls below a certain amount. It tracks our driving score, and that's been a huge thing for us. Our driving score has gone way up since we put it in our technicians' hands, which hopefully our insurance comes down a little bit because of that. And then the fourth one is proof of service. And this has actually been a pretty big one that we've done over the last maybe 6 months. And, basically we're recording a video every time we go to a customer's house. It's a selfie style video. So, pest control is something interesting because, Danny, we're selling the absence of something, right? We're not selling anything tangible that the customer can put in their hand. And so I think a lot of customers, they're not home during the day. They don't see us. They might, they haven't seen us for a year because we come while they're gone. They haven't seen any bugs. And I think it's easy to look at that charge every month on their card and say, maybe we can cancel the service. And so what those proof of service videos have helped us do is, it's selfie style video. Hey, Becky, Ryan here with Vinx. Just got your service done. they'll flip the camera around, go show them some stuff they did on the house. And man, we've gotten great feedback from that because customers are like, thank you so much. Or, hey, you had a massive wasp nest here. I knocked it down and took care of it. Like they may not have even known, but now we're kind of building that value as time goes on, and they're almost being reminded, right? Every single time we're out there of what we're doing, what we're taking care of. Because I doubt many customers go into their email or log onto the field routes thing and read the notes that the technicians leave. They probably don't see that. So
Yeah.
those are some of the main ones. I don't know of any softwares. We use Smarter Launch. That's been pretty good for our technicians or the inspectors to go like, do some really good proposals for exclusions and some of the other services we do. But that's kind of our tech stack, man. It's not too in depth.
Cool. No, that was helpful. And I always like to ask that. I feel like I ask it on most of my shows just because people are asking me and I'm curious. So want to get the consensus. Like, is everyone using this for reviews? Is everyone using this CRM? So yeah, that's definitely helpful. And something you said, which I've actually never heard it articulated this way, and I've never articulated it this way, but you're right. Pest control, you're not marketing anything tangible. Like, and me, especially as a marketing guy, I've found it makes it kind of harder to market because maybe you have like a dealership, a car dealership. You can show, hey, here's this new Maserati, here's this new Mustang. It looks super good, but it's kind of hard to market pest control because there's not, like you said, you're actually marketing the absence of something, not something tangible.
Yeah, I mean, somebody buys it for peace of mind, right? They buy it because how they're going to feel not having to worry about bugs. And like I was saying, if they haven't seen bugs for a year because you're doing your job really well, it's very easy to kind of be like, oh, maybe I don't need that anymore, right? Like I hate to say it, but from a pest control company standpoint, maybe I could argue that it's maybe okay that they see bugs, every once in a while, the occasional bug, so they still are like, oh, I do need this,
Mm. Yeah, no, definitely. And I also like that you were having your text to selfie style videos. I've heard some people do like a picture after the service, just something to be there with a note. But I think
Yeah.
selfie really takes it to the nth degree, especially I think like you were saying, if the person isn't home, I mean, it's like, what am I paying for? I don't see this person. I don't see bugs.
Yeah.
So it gives them a reason to keep paying. I really like that.
Yeah. Something interesting that I didn't anticipate being beneficial about those videos is we got to see how our technicians talk to our customers.
Mm.
And there were a lot of technicians that I was like, oh my gosh, like that's what you're saying to customers? This is awful. Or, hey, how did this guy get hired? This guy can't even formulate sentences, like on some of these videos. And so that's been something really good for us to be able to see, hey guys, we don't mention this, we don't talk about that. Like, just once again, we need to set the expectations right and have that consistency company wide. And that was kind of a fun, I remember watching those first few videos, just like, I was just wincing. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that guy just said that.
Yeah.
So I think we've cleaned it up since then though.
Nice. Something fascinating you mentioned there and also earlier in the show. For example, you said that you don't say the word sell. Can you talk to me about like the importance of words and which ones you guys purposely don't say or do say?
Yeah. I mean, so like in door to door, right? This is a big thing that we train all our guys on, right? We don't say contract, we say agreement. We don't say kill, we say take care of. We don't say chemical, we say products. I mean, I think we all have associations with words, right? Like, I mean, take somebody that has, they're scared of spiders. They got arachnophobia. Like you say spider, their heart rate's probably going to go up a little bit, or we all have the images that kind of come to mind. And so it may not affect everybody the same, but I think, we've got to be conscientious of the fact that words do affect people, right? When we're talking to customers and they've got pets and they've got kids, if we're saying, yeah, we're going to put a bunch of chemical all over your yard and it's going to kill all the bugs, like, nobody's going to love that. And so applying that to the technicians, once again, I mean, a lot of those technicians are, they've been told at other companies, hey, you need to do sales. And, we really had to, and I hear the technicians say it sometimes, oh, I got 4 sales, I got whatever. But initially, we really pushed it that way because, hey, yeah, people are just upgrading the service they have. That's it. We're just educating them on, there's a little bit more. We have an acronym that we've actually used with our technicians. It's CARE, and it's the 4 steps for termites. It's you got to check the yard around the house. You got to ask them. You've got to you got to ask them about it. Oh man, now I'm drawing a blank on this one. Check, ask. Dude, this is gonna drive me nuts, Danny. Let me look this up.
Okay.
Dude, we have these on the wall. This is funny that I don't remember these, but I know the last one's explain pricing, but anyway, dude, I'm not seeing it right now.
No, you're okay.
We just keep. I'll just strike out twice on remembering stuff, dude.
Okay. No, I get it. When you're on the show, it's just sometimes you draw a blank.
Recommend, dude. There it is. Check, ask, recommend, and explain pricing. Gee whiz, that was driving me nuts.
Okay, cool. Got it. So you said that's for termites.
Yeah, for termites.
Yep, gotcha. Let's see. Okay, yeah. So something else I wanted to ask. We'll pivot again. So you guys operate in 3 states. You were operating in 4, and you've got 5 locations right now. Talk to me about managing all those different locations, because obviously you can't be in all places at once. So placing those managers and kind of doing top level managing of your staff and the hierarchy.
Yeah. I mean, so one thing that we've really done, I think, going back to the boys in the boat analogy, right? Like row together, win together. What I love about that movie, and we've talked a lot to our team about that, is, if we're all in the boat, we've got to be on the same team, at the same cadence, on, going in the same direction. And so one thing we've started doing, we've been doing this for maybe the last 10 months, is we do a monthly team huddle. And it's all the service managers in their location. We bought them a griddle. They cook breakfast for the team. And then we do a company-wide thing to just kind of get everybody on the same page. We do a lot of shout outs. We recognize, the technicians, top technician of the month, top branch of the quarter. I think that's done a lot to kind of make it not feel like we're so scattered and separated. And then, I think Pronto has also really helped because, I'm part of a lot of those chats, though I'm not involved in all of them. Man, it's great. Like, we've gotten to the point where we've got branches saying, "Hey, dude, we're going to take you down this week. We're going to get more upgrades than you," and it just kind of fosters that sense of team, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a big one that helps kind of keep that accountability and keep everybody going in the same direction, keep everybody on the same page. And then another thing we did is we implemented EOS, which you do your L10 meeting, or your level 10 meeting every week. And we do that at a company leadership level. And then we do that. We've got our director of field operations out in South Carolina, who he does that with all the service managers just to keep them all on the same page. And it's kind of embarrassing to say how long we went and how big we were before we really instilled weekly accountability meetings. But we hired a guy to come in and help us implement EOS. And man, it's been a world of difference, just as far as it's crazy to look back over the year and the things we've been tracking, like just because we were paying attention to them, how much better they got. So that's probably, just having that cadence set up and that accountability and structure, and then really trying to keep the communication open, whether it's the monthly meetings or the company-wide chat, just to keep everybody kind of going in the same direction.
Definitely. Yeah, for people that don't know, EOS is probably the main operations system. I think from the book Traction, they have super well known. I know tons of businesses that are on it. I want to ask, especially to make this relevant to the audience, when do you think it makes sense for a company to implement something like EOS?
Yesterday. Like we waited until we were pretty big. And so, I mean, it's the whole idea, right, of the Titanic couldn't really turn quick because it was such a big ship, right? If that was a smaller ship, it could have turned quicker. And so, if your organization is smaller, geez, do it before it's harder to correct everything, right? Like there's definitely collateral damage when you start doing it when you're bigger. Like we didn't push our service managers and our technicians to get upgrades for a long time, and when we really started pushing that hard, we lost some people because of it, because they're like, this isn't what I signed up for. And from EOS, like, I mean, if you're a one-man operator right now, or you got 2 or 3 people at your company, it might be easy to say, hey, it's not that important, but it is, and it's going to help you, and it's going to be like the training wheels that you want to have there while you go. So you just get in the habit of looking at KPIs, right? And that's stuff that for a long time we were just like run and gun, throw accounts on with door to door. We didn't have all our QuickBooks and accounting stuff figured out, and it was just like, hey, there's money in the bank. That was kind of my barometer. And there's a lot of bad habits that, unfortunately, at the level that we're at, we're still having to undo. I know that when we were smaller as a company, I always thought, man, those bigger companies, they've got it all together. They don't, right? Like every company is still going through those growing pains and trying to figure it out, and trying to clean things up and undo bad habits. So yeah, that as far as EOS, I would say get the book and just get in some sort of cadence, even if it's just you, like just go look at your numbers, right? Just it'll make sense. And it's just like your dashboard in your car, right? It tells you how fast you're going, if the engine's overheating, if you have gas, right? Like just some simple stuff I think is well worth making time for.
What are the top KPIs you're looking at? And are there any that you track that probably many others don't?
We dude, do I need to pull this up so I don't look like a goober again? We look at some of the top ones we look at operationally. We talk in terms of subscriptions. So we're counting how many subscriptions we have. That's just a customer that's a quarterly customer, whatever, right? Or somebody on the mosquito subscription or termite subscription. So we track subscriptions every week. We track subscriptions sold from or added, right? So hey, here's how many we added. We track cancellations, and then those are kind of like our higher level ones. And then from there, it kind of falls off to different departments. Like for our operations, field operations department, a big one that we started tracking was how many points per day. We call it points per day. We kind of standardized it to where, like, if you're doing a Centricon check, an annual inspection, well, that's going to take longer than if you're doing a quarterly service. And so, like, the Centricon check is 2 points. The general pest service is 1 point. But we push our technicians to get 15 points per day. So if you're doing quarterlies, you're doing 15 quarterlies a day, but we want it to at least be above 14. So that's a big one that we track. We also track average mileage per route. And that's one that, since we implemented EOS, it's been insane to see how much we've improved. We used to be, probably in the 50s, 50 miles per route. And now a lot of weeks, man, we're down to the low to mid 20s on average miles per route. And right, part of that's a product of us being a little more strategic on scheduling. Part of that gets helped because of some door-to-door, just route density stuff. We're obviously tracking, like accounts lost. I might have mentioned that already. Another big one is we've made a lot of strides with, we have a specific retention department, and we're tracking their success every week. We're tracking all the technician upgrades. So those are some of them, but the first ones I told you were kind of our big, like, key indicators. And then down below that are just kind of like different departments throughout the company.
Gotcha. Cool. So to be clear, you guys cut your drive time in half?
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
And it was, man, it was a huge undertaking because, I mean, you really have to get strategic, and you've got to have people that are doing the scheduling that understand, right? Like, like, hey, I might be able to push this service out a week, and then the routing is a little bit better. You know, if you've got people going in there saying, all right, well, who's due for service over the next 3 days? Well, your options are going to be look like one thing versus if you say, well, who's due for service over the next 2 weeks? Well, now all of a sudden I can be a lot more strategic with the routes that I build. You know, some other things that we've implemented is if, let's say somebody calls, you know, text the same day and says, hey, I know you guys are supposed to come today. Today actually doesn't work. Can you guys come later? Well, now we've got a gap on the route. And so being able to set it up to where we have customer service reps that get notified of that immediately, and they're going to go start calling, hey, John's in this area. Let me go start calling some customers that we might not get to till next week, but just say, hey, we had an opening come up. Do you care if we actually do your service today? Right. So that's a way to pack one more in, and inevitably that's happening, you know, a decent amount of times on routes because people want to be there or plans change or whatever. So yeah, that's been a huge win that we've had is, you know, the scheduling department has made, you know, we shout them out a lot because technicians are more excited. They're making more money, especially the production guys.
That's awesome. That's a really good insight. And I feel like most companies don't put much focus or any focus on route density, which obviously we know is key.
Yeah.
So cool. We'll start to wrap up the show here, Ryan. I've got one final question that I ask all my guests, and that is, what is your message for the pest control owners out there? What do you want to tell them? What do you think they need to know?
Oh, man. I would probably say that a combination of things. Either you're the bottleneck or don't be the bottleneck.
Mm.
And in the sense of, you know, I think a lot of times as entrepreneurs, we like to do things our way and we get so particular about things. And this is still a challenge I have is, and I'm trying to learn more about this, is delegating stuff. Right. And I might be able to do something 100% how I want it, but I spread myself thin. And so if I can get somebody else to do that for me 80% of the way that I would have done it, that needs to be 100% okay, right? And I need to step out of the way and not be the bottleneck. And kind of a flip side of that would be, I need to continue to elevate, or as operators, you need to continue to elevate your capacity, right? So reaching out to people in the industry, networking, learning from other people, like that's one thing I've got a lot of mentors and people that I've connected with that, you know, hey, can I buy you lunch? Or hey, can I just pick your brain? And being humble enough to say, I don't know this yet. I don't have all my crap together. I don't have this all figured out. And I want to hear from other people and learn from other people and educate myself. So you want to raise your capacity so you're not, you know, so you're not as much of a bottleneck, but you also want to get out of your own way. And you know, I'm a big Alex Hormozy fan. Like, dude, I love his stuff. And he talks about I don't remember the exact, you know, but he talks about like, dude, hiring B talent or A talent, you might pay A talent 50% more, but they're going to get double the output than B talent would. And that has been probably one of the harder lessons for me to learn, because as we're growing our companies, it's like, dude, we don't have all the cash in the world, right? And we're looking at finite resources. Hey, I've got, you know, 60,000 I can spend on a service manager. Or, you know, back when we started, it's like, dude, $15 an hour. Like that was kind of $16 an hour, whatever it was. That's kind of what we could afford. But when you hire some of those A+ people, it is such a breath of fresh air. It's like, you know, and I remember some of the people that I've hired along the way that it almost, it's like, oh my gosh, why didn't I do this sooner? And it's so fun to be able to have those people on the team and just say, hey, I need you to take care of this. And I don't have to worry about it anymore. So that's probably a big one, is being the bottleneck and getting out of your own way and finding the right team and people, and then really leveling up.
Awesome. No, that was really good. I appreciate you sharing that. So I pulled, you're probably the bottleneck and you need to fix that. You need to become a student of the game and you need to learn as much as possible. And then you need to hire A players because it is worth it every single time. You're going to get disproportionate returns. So
Yep.
cool. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much for coming on the show, Ryan. This has been great. And yeah, I just really appreciate your time. And where can people find you?
Oh man. Just email. If you guys want to shoot me an email, have any questions, happy to connect. It's just ryan@vinxpestcontrol.com. And I'll try to make sure I find it, man. I got 100,000 emails on my inbox that haven't been read. So
But what about social media? Are you on any platforms?
I am on Facebook. Yeah. I'm on Facebook, and I think that's it. That is it. So
Okay.
you can find me
Cool.
on Facebook. Feel free to add me. I'm in the pest control group, so happy to connect. So appreciate
Awesome.
you having me on here, Danny.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, make sure you guys go follow Ryan on Facebook. The link to that will be in the description. And anything else you'd like to plug or promote, Ryan?
No, man. I'm just
Cool.
looking forward to an awesome, busy pest control season this year, which we're getting ready to start.
Awesome, for sure. Well, cool, man. Like I said, thanks again for being on the show. This has been a pleasure, and hope we stay in touch.
Okay, thank you, Danny. Have a good one.
Of course. Hey guys, Dan Leibrandt here. Thanks for listening to this episode of Pest Control Legends. I hope you found it valuable. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe. Also, leave a comment and let me know your thoughts. I read every single one, and I really appreciate it. Now, that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one.